Once upon a time in a land where the sky changed colors depending on how people felt, there lived a glowing little creature whose name was Luma. Now, Luma loved nothing more than soaring through the sky on her beautiful rainbow crystal wings, making the world sparkle with delight. But lately her wings had stopped shining, and one day she decided to find out why. So she flew over to the oldest tree in the land, which just happened to be where Elder Mist, the guardian of the emotional forest, had his home. He was an enormous willow with leaves as white as snow, even though every other tree in the forest had leaves as dark as night, and he was sad. "Oh, Elder Mist," said Luma, taking a seat on one of his branches. "Why is the sky so gray today?" "It matches my mood perfectly." "Well, little light," he sighed, "it's because the forest feels your sadness. The sky reflects what we feel inside, you know. When we're happy, it's sunny. When we're worried, it's cloudy. And when we're sad, it rains." "But why am I so sad?" she asked, tilting her head. "You haven't let go of your fear of the storm, little one. You're afraid of the dark clouds, aren't you? Afraid that if they touch you, your light will go out. But there's a secret," he whispered, leaning closer. "When you walk through cloudy days without giving up, your wings become stronger. Then even if it rains, you can still fly." Luma thought about this for a moment, looking out at the endless gray stretching before her. "But I don't want to get wet," she muttered. Elder Mist smiled. "Ah, but you already are, little light. You've been embracing the darkness instead of the light. Don't you see? Your wings already feel the storm inside you. Only when you fly straight into it can you realize how strong you really are." Luma knew he was right, but just the thought of letting go of her fear made her shake. Elder Mist seemed to read her mind. "Don't worry, little one. If you need help, you can always ask someone else for advice. Just remember, the best way to overcome a cloudy day is by walking through it." With that, he waved his leafy branch and sent her off on her way. And so Luma started her journey through the forest of cloudy days. As she flew over the darkened trees, she heard a sniffling sound. She looked down and saw a tiny fox with fur like swirling smoke huddled under a bush. He looked up as she approached, and Luma couldn't help but smile. Even though the fox was clearly upset, there was something so cute about him that it made her heart melt. "Are you all right?" she asked softly. The fox jumped in surprise. "Oh, I'm fine," he stammered, quickly wiping away a tear. But Luma could tell he wasn't being honest. So she landed next to him and asked again, "What's wrong?" The fox hesitated for a moment before finally speaking. "I lost my favorite song," he said quietly. "I used to whistle it all the time, but now I can't remember it no matter how hard I try. And I just keep getting more and more upset." Luma listened patiently, then said, "Have you tried asking someone else for advice? Maybe someone who knows a lot about songs could help you find it." The fox shook his head. "No one else knows my song. It was something I made up myself. But maybe you could help me, little light. Perhaps you know lots of nice songs that might jog my memory." Luma blushed. "Oh, I don't really know any songs, but I do know a place where lots of different tunes come to life. It's a bit far, though. Are you sure you'll be okay on the way over?" The fox nodded, wiping away another tear. "Thank you, little light. I'll be fine. I just need to find my song. Because every time I hear a tune, I whistle it and hope that it's the one I lost. And I'll keep doing that until I find it." With that, he raced off, dashing between the trees, whistling a merry tune. Luma watched him go, then continued on her own path. She flew past dark rocks and over wilting flowers until she came across a small clearing. In the center sat a single white flower, struggling to open its petals. Luma couldn't help but feel drawn to it. "Hello," she asked gently. "Why don't you bloom, little flower? You look like you want to." The flower trembled. "Oh, I do want to, but I'm too scared. This is the first time I've ever bloomed before, and I'm afraid no one will like my petals." "Oh, don't worry," said Luma. I'm sure you'll be beautiful. But the flower shook her head. That's not true. My roots can't hold me up. I'm too weak. And when I try to bloom, I feel even weaker. That's why I'm too afraid to try again. Luma thought for a moment. Well, you may not have much strength, but I do. How about I help you open up? The flower gasped. You would do that for me? Of course. After all, I want to see how beautiful you are inside. So Luma gathered all her strength and pushed against the flower's petals. To her surprise, they opened slowly but surely. Then something magical happened. The flower began to glow from the inside. Oh, wow, breathed Luma. You're beautiful. And I think I know why you're glowing. The flower looked confused. Why is that? Luma pointed to the drops of rain falling around them. You see, little flower, you're not too weak. You're just a new type of flower that blooms with the rain. Look, it's making you stronger. The flower stared at her in surprise. Really? Does that mean I'm not afraid anymore? Of course not, said Luma with a smile. Only when you let go of your fear can you realize how strong you really are. And with that, the flower blossomed completely, filling the clearing with a soft, gentle light. Luma beamed at her new friend, then continued on her way. The path ahead grew darker, and soon she found herself surrounded by tall, menacing trees with twisted branches. Suddenly, a large shape swooped down from above, startling her. She looked up and saw the silhouette of a magnificent dragon blocking the sun behind him. Who are you? She called out, a bit afraid. My name is Tako, he replied. And I'm trying to fly. Luma noticed the dragon kept falling. Are you sure you're doing it right? She asked. Tako sighed. Of course I am. My mother told me to flap my wings once, then dive. But no matter how many times I flap them, I never get off the ground. All I do is fall. Luma studied his wings, which were large but droopy. Well, maybe you just need to flap them a bit harder. Tako shook his head. I've tried that. But when I do, my wings get heavier and heavier. That's why I'm too afraid to try again. I'm just not cut out for flying. Luma knew exactly how he felt. But you can do it, she insisted. I believe you. You just need to try a little harder. Tako considered this. All right, little light. I won't give up. I'll try to flap my wings harder and harder until I can fly. Thank you. Then with a determined nod, he took off again, flapping his wings and diving. And Luma watched as he fell, crashed and burned, then stood back up and flapped his wings again. Again and again he kept falling, but he always stood back up and smiled. Luma wanted to help, but there was nothing more she could do, so she just waited. After a while, Tako finally landed next to her, panting heavily. I did it, he whispered, eyes shining with joy. I flew, Luma beamed. See, I told you you could do it. Tako laughed. Of course I did. I just needed to keep trying. Thank you for helping me, little light. And as the sun peeked out from behind the clouds, Tako spread his wings and soared into the sky. At the end of the forest, the sky began to clear. Not because the problems disappeared, but because Luma had changed inside. Her wings didn't just shine, they sang with the wind. And so Luma learned that the brightest light is born just after not giving up.